And I guess I want to talk a little bit first of all about how do you start, right? And the most important place in terms of how to start is to identify your audience. But what I want you to think of is the grant writing process is not you writing into a vacuum, it's you writing to an audience. And that audience most of the time wants to help. So scattered around the room, I have some samples of previous grant rounds. And so this is the Rural and Community Art Grant application. If you're interested in doing an art project in a rural community, this is the grant you apply for. It's different from the other kinds of grants. You don't know that because you're not familiar with the granting programs, right? But for example, where you want to do something in Duluth, you would apply not for that one, but for this one, the Art Projects Grant. I think you have, this is the Individual Artist Career Development Grant, right? Which is a completely different form from this one, which is a completely different form from this one. Does this make sense, kind of, sort of? And so you need to find a program that reflects what you want to do, a funder who wants to fund what you want to do. With me on that? One of my favorites is, oh, that's the career development. Who's got the technical, the small capital grant? Is that you? Yep. So this is a grant which is entirely just to get an artist equipment, right? You need a kiln. This is the grant you write. You don't just write a grant and send it off into the ether most of the time, especially writing arts grants. If you were to write a grant for the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation, which is one of the major funders in this area, the first thing they make you do before you can do anything else is send them an email saying, this is my project, I'd like to write a grant for it. They will then tell you, here are the 3 grants, the 2 grants, the 1 grant we think this project might work with. We give you permission to begin working on that grant. And without that first email, you can't go on to the next step because they want to talk to you. They want to help you find the right funder. Does that make sense? So it's one thing to say, I want to write a grant for a music education program at a school. If you can narrow that and say, I want to write a grant for a music education program on the Iron Range. Now we can start looking for Iron Range arts grants, Iron Range community grants, right? Does that make sense? Or I want to do something at East High School. The Community Foundation can help you, again, find the funder for that. Does that make sense? Kind of, sort of? If you send the most beautifully written grant to the wrong program, it's going to be rejected. And it happens all the time.